quick progressive reporting demo here and talk a little bit about actuals and how to make sure that you are completing an actual so that it, goes from beginning to end, from draft to complete. So I'm going to start with just creating a new fuels treatment and just do a really nice square here. Let it think. Give it a name and then, category. For progressive reporting, it is essential that you click yes on is progressive reporting. Otherwise, you will not have the progressive reporting subsection pop up and you won't be able to create multiple actuals. So as I go here, I'm just going to fill out some additional information. And anything that is underlined in red is something that's required. So if you're wondering why, hey, this is not showing up, I'm not able to get to the next section, check those underlines, check here as well to make sure that you have all of the required fields as appropriate. So let's hit save here. And now you'll see that once I hit save, you've kind of got the startings of the progressive reporting section. I'm going to go here, hit save again. And I'm just going to add a line of funding so that I can complete my work. And I'll just put $1. So I'll just call out here as well. When you have that funding line and it's not contributed, if you have multiple funding lines, you should see an acres tab here that tells you at this point, since I only have one line of funding, that should be equal to the funding or to the acreage on the screen here. And as you create and add additional funding lines, that should proportionally update as well. So that, if you have $100 in one and 10 in another, you'll have more acreage, quote unquote, assigned to that dollar amount. If I go back in here, if I had multiple funding lines, and I suppose I could do that, let's just go with New Mexico. And maybe we do $10 here. I save. You see a bunch of stuff popped up when I did that, right? So you can see here the acres have now been kind of divvied up based on the dollar amount. If I wasn't happy with that, I could go in here and hit Manage Acres and make some changes here. So if I want 829 and 82, I can do that. So long as it adds up to the total. And that's where you start to see red, angry warnings if it does not add up. So you can see here, there's the update. And if I wanted to reset it to the distribution default, I can do that here. And so you see that has been updated again. So as I continue, I see that I need to add a WBS code because this is BLM funding. Um, that is required when you have an estimated. So if I save that, and let's see, I also need to say if it's sagebrush or not, and add a treatment driver. So now that I've done that, you can see that my status has changed to ready for approval. And at that point, that is ready for everyone to give their stamp of approval. And since I'm in test, I can do that myself. So as I do that, you can see we've got our status has changed again to department approved, and hit save. And at this point, we should be able to add an actual. So the difference between progressive reporting and a regular, I guess, actual in this stage really is where the add actual button is. So this same button will be up here if you are not doing a progressive reporting action. So if I add an actual, create a polygon, just going to add a subsection here. And you can see that I've got my started actual. It's got a different calculated area, of course, because it's just a subsection of what we have. And it's copied over all the other good stuff that it needs. So if I end up putting a date here and hit save, that is the key to getting this set to complete. Now, for progressive reporting, it's a little bit different, but I just kind of want to mention here for actuals, if you are not seeing this completion date as editable, if it's faded kind of like this, grayed out, that means there is some piece of information missing that you need before you can move forward. Commonly, uh, for some of the other agencies that don't require on the estimated to have a WBS, that is required to complete an actual. So check there. That's really the big one. There may be some other things. Maybe you uh, removed one of these or changed one of these, and now we need a unit in order to move forward. It should be red underlined, but that is really the key, is just to make sure that everything has needs to be completed, has been completed before you can add that date. And the date is what sets the status to completed. Um, so if I go back to the estimated here, this is one thing that we have on our list to address, but on the first actual of a progressive reporting action, it does complete everything and finalizes it. But the workaround for that is pretty straightforward. You just hit the unfinalize button and you'll see that our status is back to started, and we can add another actual. And you can see here where we've got the completion date, initiation date, acres, and local ID if you so choose to use that. And if I wanted to open it up here, I could. I'm not going to at this point. So essentially, I go back to wherever I was. I can add another actual here. It doesn't have to be within the lines of the estimated either. I'll just call that out because I don't want you to think there's limits to that. And this is another one where I could make it pretty straightforward and just say, hey, I've completed it. And you can see it's completed.